Okay, something's came up and you need to request your NHS medical notes, but you're not quite sure how to do it. Okay, in this video, I'll try and talk you through step to step how to go about doing it. It should apply to any request wherever you are in the NHS, but this one will be specific just to NHS Forth Valley. Now, you may think that your NHS notes are available wherever you are within the NHS, but it's not as straightforward as that. If you want to request your medical notes linked to your GP surgery, then you have to go via the GP surgery to get that. If your GP surgery has a website, they'll probably describe it quite well there how to obtain them or have a word at the reception. If it's a hospital, go to that health board website that covers the hospital, and the website should tell you how to make a request for it. I'll show you the example given for the NHS Forth Valley Hospital, but it will be quite similar no matter where you are. So as a starting point, a quick Google NHS Forth Valley copy of notes, which pulls up a little bit of a description, and there's a link to take you to, in my case, NHS Forth Valley application for subject access to clinical records. It's the clinical records that you're after. Following the link takes us to the page, the data protection page it's called in this case. It may have different names. And as we scroll down the page, we can see there's 3 different forms that are available. Application for subject access to clinical records, application for subject access to non-clinical records, and access to deceased persons' health records. If it's your clinical records, your health records that you're after, then it's this top one in the box, access to clinical records. In this case, for the NHS Forth Valley form, it's a PDF form which has loaded up in my browser. And because I'm logged in with a Google account on my browser, Google will allow me to save to Google Drive. You don't have to do that. You could print the form off. I can click in here in the different boxes and it doesn't allow me to add any text to it. Right clicking doesn't help either. So your option would be print the form off if you have access to a printer, or save it to something and take it to someone that does have access to a printer and print it off, or with your Google account, save it to Google Drive. And when you find the downloaded file in Google Drive, you can then click on the 3 dots and ask it to open with Google Docs. That will then open in another window, but this time it has fields in there that you can type whatever you want into. When you finish typing that, you can save it again to Google Docs, or you can download it as a PDF, and that PDF with all your typed in information can then be added as an attachment to the email. What email? The email that you would send, in this case, to, maybe not to information governance. What we need to do is look at the form first. And there's a section down the bottom that says Data Protection Officer, Forth Valley Data Protection. there's two addresses. There's subject access team and there's the data protection officer. And it doesn't always make it clear which address you've to contact them on. So, if in doubt, copy it to both and then call them up and make sure they've received it. One of them will be correct. So if I quickly run through the form, you need to fill in your name, address, date of birth, sex, a contact phone number, postcode, email address. You don't need the CHI number if you don't know it. You can put it in if you want. The next section is about previous last names, previous addresses. If you've become married or divorced and changed your name between the periods of treatment that you're interested in, this is what they mean. Give them your previous names. And if you've moved addresses, they want to know the previous addresses. Then we have the section NHS contacts. The name of the hospital that you attended and ward, clinic, department, speciality or service. Name of the healthcare professional, if known, and the dates from and to. If you're only interested in specific dates, dates from and to are important. The hospital, it would be a good idea to add the names of the hospitals if there's only one department or one ward. You could add that, but they should be able to find your name. They'll match your name with your date of birth, your name with your date of birth, or the CHI number, and they should then be able to pull up everything linked to that in connection with the hospital that you were at. Section 3 is a box where they ask you to add the details of the information that you're requesting. I want all my notes. You don't always get all of your notes when you request all of your notes. You may want to request, well, you'll know what you need, but maybe it's appointment dates, maybe it's prescriptions, it could be blood test information that was taken at the hospital, it could be scans. If you are specific about the type of information you want, this is the place to put it. If not, you can maybe describe it in another way, like all clinical records relating to my whatever kind of test it was, or whatever kind of investigation between one date and another date. They also want to know is in relation to the infected blood inquiry. And they'd want you to give further details if it is linked to the infected blood inquiry. If it's not linked to the infected blood inquiry, there's no further details to give. They then mention the format that you would like the information in. And the two options that they give is view the original records only, or provide a copy, a hard copy of the records. So we'll give it a try here. I have taken a photograph of a dummy signature on a piece of paper. I have sent it to the computer. And what I will try now and do is go to Insert, and it's going to be an image, and I'm going to upload it from the computer. Okay, we've inserted the image, but it has disrupted the flow of the form. The signature with the big long underline now has an image and then the rest of the underline, so it's distorted that. But what we do here is click on the image, and then from these we want it to float in front of, which is probably that one, in front of. That's it, it's in front. And we want to crop the image. Right click, crop. And we're looking for the right angled shape in one corner. Click, drag, and then the other right angle, click, drag. I'll try and get that much of it in. Maybe I'll go to about there. And then if I click off the image, we'll now find that it's fallen down the page a bit. So we want to click and drag it back up to where we need it. And the size needs to be changed. So go to one corner, click and drag to resize it. And there we go. You may want to take a few attempts at this in some nice lighting to get a better finish, but effectively that's your signature, handwritten signature, added into the form. The date, you can do that by hand. Of course, when you do it by hand, it's going to write over the top of the underscores, so you have to delete a few parts out to correct for that. But that's fine, you can do that. The next part of the form is saying if you're not the person named in section 1, okay, back up to section 1, who was named in section 1? You were filling the form in for yourself. Back down here, if you're not, nope, that doesn't apply to you, don't touch that. Section 5, details of the person acting on behalf of the person applying. No, you're applying for yourself, you're not acting on behalf of someone else, so that doesn't have to be filled in. You have already filled in section 1 with your name and address. And it says there, you must fill in this section if you are not the person named in section 1. You are the person named in section 1, so you don't have to fill that in. If you're filling it in on behalf of someone else, the person you're filling it in for's details goes at the top, and your details go down here. Section 6, permission. You must fill in this section if you are the person named in section 1 and you have given the person named in section 5 permission. Section, no, if you're doing it for yourself, you don't sign that either. That's nothing to do with you. And that's it filled in. It does say that we will deal with your request as quickly as possible and within 1 calendar month of receiving your completed application form and supporting evidence. Sometimes, but maybe not. And you probably need to remind them, maybe a few times, before the end of the calendar month. Fees. There are no fees for information requested, unless you're requesting duplicates of records you've already requested. If this is the first time, there's no fee for that. So with the form completed and saved, you can call the numbers up and ask which one they prefer you to send the form to, or you can send the form to both email addresses and then call up after you've emailed it in to confirm that they have your form and they will process it. Don't assume just because you pushed the send button on the email that someone will do something. You need to follow up and contact them. Make sure they've received it. Make sure they're happy it's filled in correctly. Find out the name of the person that said, yes, we've received it and we're happy it's filled in correctly. And then you can start your timer, waiting towards the end of the month, but maybe before the end of the month, you can call them up just to make sure that things are on schedule and you will receive your information on or before the end of the month. Doesn't do any harm. So, best of luck with your request. Let me know how you get on. Let me know if it was successful or if you've had any problems with it. So, all the best. Until the next video. Bye for now.